Georgia Republican Congressman Jody Hice was supposed to be in an Atlanta courtroom this morning in regards to Fulton County's investigation into former President Trump's potential interference in the 2020 election. But Hice challenged that subpoena and did so in federal court, where a judge is slated to hear the case next Monday. Atlanta Journal-Constitution reporter Tamar Hallerman is with me now. So Congressman Hice is quite clearly following South Carolina Republican Senator Lindsey Graham's move in fighting this subpoena. What do prosecutors want to hear from him in particular, Tamar?
Well, we're not sure exactly. Prosecutors haven't shared that information, but we have a good idea about what Congressman Hice was up to in the aftermath of the November 2020 elections. He was one of the loudest proponents of the Stop the Steal movement here in Georgia. He backed a Texas lawsuit at the Supreme Court that would have invalidated Georgia's election results. He was involved in a December 2020 meeting at the White House with Rudy Giuliani, Mark Meadows, and others where they discussed appointing a slate of fake electors. And he also led the challenge on the floor of the U.S. House on January 6th to reject the certification of Georgia's Democratic electors.
So what argument are Hice's lawyers making to suggest that he does not have to comply with this subpoena?
Well, there's a couple different ones. The first, they're pointing to the Constitution and the speech or debate clause, which bars members of Congress from having to testify under oath about any activities that they would have done, kind of doing the course of their official duties, stuff that they would have done on the House or Senate floor, in committee rooms, that sort of thing. His lawyer also argues in these filings that Hice had a right and a duty to inform himself and his colleagues about any allegations related to the elections. They're linking it to his constitutional duty, to certify the elections, the Electoral College results on January 6th. So they said he did nothing wrong.
So Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis has sent quote-unquote target letters to several Republican electors in Georgia, suggesting they're at risk of being indicted. Is that what that actually means, a target letter? And do we have any idea what charges?
We don't yet. So we know today, based on another legal filing, that the DA has sent target letters to all 16 of the Republicans who cast fake Electoral College votes in Georgia. And basically, it's a letter just informing them that they should lawyer up, that they're at risk of getting indicted in a case should she decide to move forward. The district attorney has not said what kinds of state charges could be on the table, but legal experts I've talked to have mentioned things like forgery, solicitation to commit election fraud, and potentially even a conspiracy or even a predicate act as part of a broader racketeering charge. Some of those are kind of broader items that the DA has mentioned, not necessarily specifically related to the Republican electors, but she has some choices to make should she decide that she wants to press charges.
Speaking of big choices to make, one of the biggest ones is whether the DA, Fani Willis, will subpoena former President Trump. Any insight there?
She's leaving it on the table. When I talked to her about 10 days ago, she said she's not ruling it out. And I guess we'll have to wait and see. She says anybody who may have knowledge about what went on in Georgia after the elections, she's open to subpoenaing them. That includes people in the White House, potentially somebody like White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows or anyone else. She really hasn't confirmed anything beyond what has already been issued. But the fact that she's already subpoenaed close allies of Donald Trump, folks like Lindsey Graham, folks like Rudy Giuliani, it shows that she's not afraid to kind of pierce that inner orbit of Donald Trump and his associates. So I wouldn't necessarily be surprised if she were to go that way.
So related to the ongoing turmoil and intrigue around elections and politics in Georgia, former Senator David Perdue, Republican, who recently lost his challenge to Governor Brian Kemp, gave an extended interview about that loss and his future. Big headlines?
Sure. I mean, the fact that he's willing to kind of back Brian Kemp, who he kind of levied this nasty primary challenge to. David Perdue ended up losing really terribly by about 50 points. Now he mentions he wants to unite the party to defeat Stacey Abrams. There's plenty of folks, especially in the orbit of Governor Brian Kemp, who said, David Perdue did the opposite by leveling this primary challenge. He also mentioned how he is going to stay involved in politics somehow. We don't really know what that will look like yet. I wonder how many opportunities he's going to get given how much he really angered Brian Kemp. And I'll be curious to see how out front he ends up being over the course of this election.
Tamar Hallerman of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.